Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Byington, and this is the last video covering the four parts of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So the basic content of what happens in this section is Gawain's arrival at the Green Chapel, just like part one set us up for. So a year has passed. He spent some time in the Lord of the Castle's place right before he takes off onto the green into the Green Chapel, and we have the event of the three strikes made with the axe. So beginning in this section, right away at the end of the first stanza, around line starting approximately at line 2020, we have an Arthurian legend reference. So hopefully you've watched my short video about the origins of Arthurian legend and how the whole idea behind that is to instill this mythos for the British people that their identity can be traced back to that of not just the Romans, but that of the Trojans, the city of Troy, which fell. So you have that being pointed to in the very last bit there in the Bob and Will, and it's talking about how, okay, Gawain's heading on out to the Green Chapel from the castle, and he's in all that shiny armor, just like was described in the beginning of part two. And so he looks really good. And remember what I said about the armor. This really represents his reputation. And it tells you in that Bob and Will, and in the end of that first stanza here in the beginning of part four, that with each piece of this shiny, magnificent armor, no man in history has ever shone so brightly as Gawain from here in this moment to far back in ancient Greece. And so the ancient Greek literature, the dramas, all the narratives, the things like the Iliad and the Odyssey, all of that in the Greek heroic age, just like I talk about in the Origins of Arthurian Legends video. Um, we are connecting this moment again to that of the city of Troy, the Trojan race. Well, moving on, we also have a quick little mention as he's heading out. So right after that Bob and Will and the mentioning of the Trojans, we have a reminder about that green girdle that he took from the lady of the castle in part three. Just a reminder, he doesn't have on just his armor, he's also wearing that green girdle because underneath it all, even though he's fulfilling this mission because he wants to be a bold, brave knight of the round table, he's still afraid of death, just like anyone else. So he's wearing the girdle because the lady of the castle told him it's magical, it will protect you. And then he's going to continue wandering. We have another scene, just kind of like in the end, in the well, like the last third of part two, where he's kind of wandering through the wilderness. So he's looking for this Green Chapel place. Where is this place? And he realizes he must be at it or that he's close. He notices kind of like a knoll, a grassy knoll. So it's almost like a hill, almost like a dam. There's water gushing out from it from underneath it. It's really kind of strange looking. It says it has this like matted weeds and moss kind of curtaining an entrance to it. And he says more than once that this must be the devil's lair. This place is full of Satan himself. Like he thinks it's the epitome of evil. So here we have a reference again to something that's of course from Christianity, and yet everything he's doing, the whole purpose he's doing this is because it was part of the exchange of the beheading game, and all along, all the way, he's been praying, and yet you have the pagan elements. This green chapel, it's no chapel, he says. This is no church. This place is of the devil himself. So we have that, and he also knows he's in the right place because not only does he see these things that which he assumes must be the quote unquote Green Chapel, but he hears the grinding of an axe. It says that the axe being sharpened, the sound of it grinding is like his welcome mat, and that the sound, it echoes and reverberates against anything in the space, the valley, the crags, the cliffs, and then he sees the Green Knight. Oh, he hasn't seen this guy in a year, and says, "Well, okay, you're here, Gawain. You, let's get to the chase. Remove your armor." So he removes his armor so he can place his head on the chopping block to allow the Green Knight to swing the axe at his neck. It sounds insane, right? Why would you do this? This is certain death. But this is the agreement that he made. He has to go through with it. Most important thing you want to know from this part is what happens in each strike. So with the first strike, Gawain flinches. The Green Knight takes the axe and he's about to chop down, and Gawain like shrugs his shoulders up. He's scared. And so the Green Knight says, "No, no, no, that's not fair. You can't do that. Don't flinch." Then the second time, the Green Knight is like, "Okay, here we go for real this time." And he fakes him out. Gawain didn't flinch though. The Green Knight just wanted to test him. Okay, and then the third time, this is the big one. The third time, the Green Knight takes the axe to swing at Sir Gawain's neck, like he's going to chop off his head. And he goes through with the swing, but he makes sure not to actually cut off his head. He just ever so slightly nicks the back and side of Gawain's neck. And in that moment, you have this description of what Gawain sees. So his head is like on the chopping block, and it's the winter, so there's snow because we went the full circle. Remember the circular imagery, the circular full circle of the year. There's snow on the ground because it's winter. The axe has just nicked his neck, and a bit of his blood. It'd be like, if you accidentally scratch yourself pretty badly. Oh, there's still a little bit of blood present. And he sees his own blood splattered on the snow. You have that mentioning of the imagery of the bright red blood on the bright white snow. So this imagery of these colors in medieval literature is not uncommon. It's an instance of binaries. As you can assume, the white represents the purity, and the red represents the carnal, or you might want to say like lust or love, but just think more of like the carnal, like survival. And this is exactly what Gawain has had to come face to face with. If this were an in-person class, I always, for this scene, hold a piece of white poster board and allow a student to volunteer to sling some red paint on it so you can really see that visual. And in this moment of Gawain seeing that, he's not just seeing his blood on the snow, he's seeing the interior of himself, quite literally. He had to come face to face with the fact that he was terrified to do this. And then he jumps up and tells the knight, "Okay, you had a chance to take a swing. Now, this is enough of all this." And he's putting his helmet back on. He has his sword, and the Green Knight's like, "Hey, just chill out a moment. Let me explain." And we have the plot twist revealed. You have the explanation that the Green Knight was actually Burlak, the lord of the castle. It was all a trick. And he had his lady of the castle try to trick Gawain each time that he was out on the hunt, each time the lord of the castle was away out on the hunt, to see if Gawain would expose his flaws, that he couldn't resist sex, that he couldn't resist a woman, or that he would be deceptive and lie to the lord of the castle. And Bertilac says, "Hey, you know what? I'm actually like pretty impressed with you. You did take the green girdle, and you were honest with me that third night about the green girdle, but I really can't blame you for that. It wasn't because you were a bad person. You just feared for your own life, and for that I can't blame you." And it turns out that the lady of the castle, as Bertolet goes on to tell us, was just Morgan Le Fay. And she's a really common character in Arthurian legend. She's always causing trouble, it seems. She is the sister of King Arthur. And just like all types of other mythology, like Greek mythology and Roman mythology, and so on and so on, there are different narratives, different stories. And some of these, she has a different relationship to other knights of the Round Table, other characters in Camelot. In this instance, she is the aunt of Gawain. And so it's like, yeah, that's weird. Your aunt was trying to get you to sleep with her. But remember, this is all like it's a very different time, and this was all not because she was actually going to do that with him, but because she's trying to get Gawain to reveal that he has flaws, that he has faults. All right, in the end, we have a return to Camelot, and he goes back with the green girdle, the sash, the belt. Uh, Berlac tells him to go on with it, take it with him. And when he reveals his fault, he tells the story like it is to everyone in Camelot, King Arthur included. And because he's honest about it, he says he continues to wear this, not like around his waist, but it is like a sash. Um, you can Google pictures of even the royals in England now. There are some events where you might see say like Prince William or Princess Kate wearing that type of sash that is draped diagonally across the body over a shoulder and then meets at the hip, and it has badges on it and medals and such on it. I mentioned in another video, this is also a type of regalia you might see in other types of military settings and such. So he's wearing that as a reminder of what the lesson he learned, that it's okay to have this fear of death, because he was still brave and went through with the mission. And so all the other knights of the Round Table, then they start wearing that as well. Now, this symbol and all the circular imagery I've mentioned in other videos in this story, this has some roots that go back perhaps even further in time before Arthurian legend. So you have this as these sort of self-consuming snake. Sometimes it's a self-consuming dragon, which is a little more like what's going on in the one with the left since it has legs. And what this represents is the concept of life and death, but more like rebirth. Like you go through a trial and you come full circle, like that expression we say sometimes, you come full circle back to a new version of yourself that you weren't before. You can't unknow your experiences. You do want to learn something from them, though, gain that resilience. You also have this imagery in the Order of the Garters logo there. If you see the bottom half of it does not, it is a circle, but like it's not. And that's the whole kind of concept of what you have going on here, that the way the lines connect in the circle, it's not perfect, kind of like Gawain. All right, so that's the end of my coverage for Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Thank you for watching.